Hi, my name is Andre Taylor, and I'm from Washington, D.C. And one of my favorite banned books is Captain Underpants and the Attack of the Talking Toilets because it's an obnoxious book, and little boys like it a lot, and I think girls like it too. So I'm going to read from chapter 15, Cream Chip Beef to the Rescue. George, Harold, and Captain Underpants got inside the school safely and closed the front door behind them. I think the toilets are all outside, said George. But not for long, said Harold. Quickly, they ran to the school's kitchen and discovered a cart holding a large vat of something green and sludgy. Yuck, said George, holding his nose. What is that stuff? I think it's tomorrow's lunch, said Harold. Perfect, said George. I never thought I'd be glad to see cream chip beef. Together, they wheeled the tub of stinky green glop down the hallway and outside the door of the school. Captain Underpants sat on the cart and stretched a pair of underwear over his head like a slingshot. George stood over him, scooped up some cafeteria food into the underwear, and stretched it back. Harold wheeled the cart toward the talking toilets. Tra-la-la! Shouted Captain Underpants loudly. The talking toilets turned and saw our three heroes. All at once they shouted, "Yum, yum, eat 'em up," and the chase was on. Harold pulled the cart across the playground as the toilet zipped after them. "Fire one!" cried Captain Underpants. George shot a glob of cream chip beef into the first toilet's mouth. The toilet swallowed it whole. Harold kept pulling as George scooped another serving into the underwear and pulled it back. "Fire two!" cried Captain Underpants. Zip went the cafeteria food right into the second toilet's mouth. The whole process repeated itself until every last toilet had swallowed at least 2 servings of cream chip beef. "We're almost out of ammo," Captain Underpants shouted. "And I don't think I can run anymore," said Harold, huffing and puffing. "Don't worry, look," said George, pointing at the toilets. They all slowed down and were beginning to groan and wobble around. Their eyes crossed and they turned an odd shade of green. "Look out," cried Harold. "I think they're going to hurl." And that's just what they did. George, Harold, and Captain Underpants watched as the toilets upchucked everything they'd eaten during the day. The cream chip beef, the underwear, even the teachers all came out without a scratch. Then the toilet spun around in small circles and fell to the ground dead. George checked the teachers. "They're alive," he said. "Unconscious but alive." "Wow," said Harold. "That was easy." "Too easy," said George. "What do you mean?" asked Harold. George pulled a comic book out of his backpack and showed it to Harold. "Remember how the Patsy 2000 turned everything on the front cover of our comic book to life?" he asked. "Yeah, so," said Harold. "Well," said George as he pointed to the Turbo Toilet 2000 on the front cover of the comic, "we haven't seen him yet." Chapter 16. Suddenly, the Turbo Toilet 2000 came charging out of the front door of the school with a terrible crash. The earth rumbled beneath its mighty footsteps as nearly a ton of twisting steel and raging porcelain descended upon our heroes. Captain Underpants leaped onto the Turbo Toilet 2000 and the battle began. "I sure hope this doesn't lead to extreme graphic violence," said Harold. "Me too," said George. Everything seemed hopeless. Captain Underpants had slipped and fallen into the mouth of the Turbo Toilet 2000, and now the giant toilet was coming after George and Harold. "Ha ha ha!" laughed the powerful porcelain predator. "Once I have eaten you two up, I will take over the world. Not if we have anything to say about it," yelled George. George and Harold ran into the school and locked the door behind them. The Turbo Toilet 2000 banged against the door with his fist, shouting, "You boys can't hide in there forever." George and Harold ran to the gym. "I've got a plan," said George. "We need to invent a character who can defeat a giant robot toilet." "How about a giant robot urinal?" asked Harold. "We can call it the Urinator." "No way," said George. "They'll never let us get away with that in a children's book. We're skating on thin ice as it is." "All right," said Harold. "How about a giant plunger robot? He can carry a really big plunger and—" "That's it!" cried George. So Harold took out his purple ballpoint pen and began to draw. "Give him laser eyes," said George. "All right," said Harold. "And give him turbo atomic robot rocket boosters," said George. "Got it," said Harold. "And make him obey our every command," said George. "I'm way ahead of you," said Harold. Harold finished his drawing and George inspected it carefully. "This just might work," said George. "Yeah," said Harold. "It's the Patsy 2000 can hold out." The boys turned and looked at the dented, cracked, and beaten-up machine lying on its side in the corner. George and Harold pushed the Patsy 2000 upright and dusted it off. "Come on, Patsy, old girl," said George. "We really need you now." "Yeah," said Harold. "The fate of the entire planet is in our hands."